Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Friday. It is Friday, November 12th. Glad you're able to join us today. Excited about our conversation with Dave. That's coming up next. But before we do, let me just remind you of our core retirement design to help design the retirement you always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-382-0037. Looking forward to that and more when Dave joins us up next.
Government takes the day off, us talking heads the next morning down to next to nothing in terms of current information. Gonna have to have a talk with my congressman. It's 8:41. There is stuff going on with your money in the markets, and that's why we do it every morning at this time, even on a relatively slow news day. Let's head down, check in, and see what Statler Financial Services has to offer this morning. Philip Statler is on the line. Philip, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Hey, Dave, doing well today. It's Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. I hope everybody's had a great week.
Oh, it's been a nice one. Florida State played basketball on Sunday. I'll bet you're going to be paying attention to that.
I will. I'll be catching that game.
Yeah, and Florida State plays Miami on football tomorrow. You Knowles fans have a lot to watch over the weekend.
Yeah, we do. We got to be holding our breath for that one.
Yeah, the Gators are playing a patsy. They got Samford. With a little bit of luck after that, they'll at least be bowl eligible. And then all of a sudden, there'll be a lot of marbles on the line for the Gators-Knowles game the week after that. It ought to be an interesting couple of weeks, I would think.
I think so.
I suspect so, but both teams have rough times this year, so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to cross my fingers just because, well, I like selling bowl games, so we'll go for the Gators just because I like my pocketbook. We're looking at yesterday was not half as bad as you and I thought it might be. I mean, the Dow was down 159 points, S&P was only off 2.5, and NASDAQ was down by 81.5. It's way too early to talk about corrections, but what's that, 4 down days in a row on the indexes, even though it wasn't all that bad yesterday?
Yeah, we did have well, I think actually, yes, not yesterday, but Wednesday, everything ended up on Wednesday. So
I think you're right.
That kind of broke the streak. That broke the streak.
Now, we don't have a trend per se, but there's definitely some stinking thinking on the marketplace, and needless to say, the inflation levels aren't helping any, and the government's response aren't helping much either. I got a CNN newsletter out on their financial division with a columnist saying, yeah, the solution to all this inflation is we need trillions more poured into the economy. And same reaction you and I had to the president's statement yesterday. We're trying to figure out which class at Wharton Economics School they all flunked out of.
Yeah, because that's definitely not the answer to the question. Is more money. More money is just going to inflame inflation even more and more, especially with the supply chain issues we're having now. So I'm not sure. I know people are upset with Washington about all the increase in inflation. I heard on the news this morning that you can expect your packaged meat prices to go up by 10% in January. That's your hot dogs, hamburgers, cold cuts, that type of thing, increased by 10% in January.
I ran across it, and I had something that I would rather talk about when I was going through my dumb news files this morning. The price of a Thanksgiving dinner is basically a second mortgage this year compared to prior years. I mean, everything has gone up to the point of patently ridiculous. And now that the federal government has noticed, my worry is politicians' knee-jerk reactions are always symptomatic relief. The constituents say, prices are too high, so the politicians say, fine, we'll give you more money, and that's exactly the opposite of what inflation needs.
You're absolutely right. They need to do something to curb inflation, not give us more money. That's just going to skyrocket inflation even higher.
And that's what the challenge is right now, because politicians, never being known for anything more deep than knee-jerk reactions, generally end up doing the wrong thing in processes like that. Not a lot going on. I was whining before we started talking about the fact that the government took the day off yesterday, so absolutely nothing coming over the wire this morning as far as productivity from Washington. We got two things on the agenda today that might, given the current timber, move the market. Last month when the University of Michigan sentiment report came out, maybe 2 months ago, it was a negative surprise. And it really messed the market up for a couple of days. I think it was 2 months ago while you were on vacation. It comes out at 10 o'clock this morning. they expect it to improve a little bit from last month. And I'm not optimistic, just given what I'm hearing out on the street, that we're going to get an improvement in consumer sentiment over last month.
To me, I would be hard to eke out any kind of positive information as far as the consumer sentiment, because everybody I talk to is becoming very disenchanted with the consumer price increases continue to hit the grocery stores, and they not being able to find what they need or want for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I think you're right. I think I would expect it to come in below that.
Yeah, I would kind of expect that. The increase expected is kind of a surprise to me. I mean, I'm an eternal optimist, but I can't imagine being able to tell anybody I'm more optimistic this month than I was last month, because that does not add up given the events of the last 30 days.
No, definitely not. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. The other thing that's going to be coming out is the report for the monthly job opening figures from the JOLTS report people. That again comes out about 10 o'clock this morning. They expect a slight decline from last month's in the number of jobs opening, which I don't know how to interpret that. I mean, we can't fill the jobs we've got, so an increase in jobs opening I wouldn't consider a particularly good bit of news. That's kind of a nothing burger in my mind.
Well, yeah, because we want job openings to decline, because that means people are finally going back to work and taking them.
Yeah, I mean, more jobs being available when we're having trouble filling the ones we've got. Like I said, if it's an increase or a decrease, I'm kind of seeing the JOLTS as a nothing burger today, but the consumer sentiment report at 10 could make a difference. Other tidbits that you found out there this morning?
Well, we do have just a couple earnings, and then we got some newsworthy information that we've gotten come across the ticker today. Let's start with Lordstown Motors. That's a vehicle company, electronic vehicles. Again, another EV company coming out, but they are getting beat up this morning because they have another quarter with no revenue. And so, how long can a company last with no revenue?
I was going to say, funny how that works. You don't sell anything, and the stock buyers don't like you much, huh?
No, yeah, they down almost 10% this morning, and this company has some big buzz. Earlier this year, came across one of my services that I belong to, was thinking that they thought production would start, they could be one of the outliers and really make a difference, but they have not lived up to the expectations of the investment world.
Truthfully, I've never even heard of them. So what kind of an EV do they make that everybody was so excited about?
A truck. They had a truck that's supposed to come out in production.
Evidently not, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, still no revenue. So, hey, the other one I have is WM Technology. Now, I'll be honest, I had to do a little research to figure out what in the world WM Technology was. But they are a service provider, a platform provider for cannabis companies and cannabis consumers. So I found that kind of interesting, but they missed on both their top and bottom line, Dave. And so they're getting beat up this morning too, down a little over 16.5%.
The weed growers are learning that natural compost works just as well, I gather, huh?
Yeah. Well, this is a platform. I think maybe like an online platform, maybe type thing. Yeah.
Which might be a little bit ahead of its time, given the legalities of shipping across state lines.
And that could be, but it'll open at a new 52-week low at a little less than $10 a share right now. Let's see, I think I had one other earnings come through here. Blink. Did you blink charging stations? They're an electronic vehicle charging stock. They did okay. They had a strong third quarter. They beat on revenue, by almost $2 million. So good news for them. And Blink is up 9.3% this morning.
Wow. Given the pressure that's being put on public utilities to install charger stations, kind of half expect that to be a growth industry to be into. Even ahead of the existence of EVs, there isn't a place to charge them. You can't sell the EVs, right?
That's right. You definitely, and you got to be able to drive them across the country, or they're never going to be what they need to be. So that's where that one's at. So I do have two newsworthy items I think we need to talk about a little bit this morning, Dave, because I think they're probably putting a little, and giving the markets a little bit of increase, and that's Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, that's a big winner on the market today, and I gather they're going to split up, huh?
Yeah, they are going to split their company into two companies. One would be a consumer health business, and the other side of the coin would be the pharmaceutical and medical device operation. So it kind of makes sense because you're targeting two different consumers, right? One is you and I, the consumer, and the other is the businesses as a consumer, medical companies as a business. So, that's helping Johnson & Johnson up almost 3% this morning.
I was going to say they're right at the top of my big winner list. I hadn't heard the news, but I knew something big had gone on with J&J.
Yeah, and the other one I had that was interesting to me is Riven Automotive.
Okay, what are they?
They just went public. They are an electric car maker, and but they got some big people behind them. So it is the joint venture with Amazon and Ford giving them some backing. As a matter of fact, they said right now, as of today, the market capitalization of Riven actually beats Ford and General Motors right now.
Have they made any cars yet is the question.
It didn't really say. It just, like I said, it just came out as an IPO.
Okay.
But they're up 3.5% today. They were up 22% yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just harkening that back to the first report you had of the electronic vehicle company that hasn't made anything yet. And now they're tanking. I'm hoping the Riven isn't going to turn that way.
Yeah, I would hope not. And then I'll leave you with one last one, Dave.
Okay.
Warby Parker, they are a eyeglass company, and they missed on both top and bottom line significantly, to the point that they're down about a little over 4% this morning.
In other words, they couldn't see bottom, huh?
I guess not. I guess they had some eyesight problems there.
Just had to have some fun with that. Resetting the table, off day yesterday. Not a monster one, but we were down about 0.4% on the Dow, 0.5% on the Nasdaq, and just a few hundredths on the S&P. 45 minutes before we start this morning, are we seeing a rebound?
We are, Dave. We are seeing a rebound. Looking really kind of nice this morning. The Dow is up a little over 1/3%, about $122. The S&P 500 futures are up 1/4%, a little over $11. NASDAQ's up 1/4%, about $41. So everything's looking good on that front. Commodity side, there's nothing but red ink this morning. Silver's down 0.6%, still above 25 though. Gold's down 1/3%, and crude oil, a big drop, down almost 1.9%. to $80.08 a barrel. Maybe, just maybe, we can get below 80.
If it's below 80 next week, I'll even have a timpani roll as you make that announcement ready. All right. Overseas markets, the Asian Rim was mostly positive at the close this morning. Europe is kind of mixed. They're kind of frittering either side of the zero mark with no trend whatsoever midway through their day. Philip, it's time to start talking retirement. If you're anywhere inside of 10 years, even maybe 20 years from retirement, planning counts for a lot. How do I find you to help make that plan happen?
Dave, it's really, if people are in that 55, 60, 65, or are already retired, I can't tell you how important it is to put together a core retirement design that helps you really, truly design the retirement you always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-382-0037. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, on Highlands News Talk 730, and now on 95.3 FM.
All righty, and back here again Monday morning here on Light FM. Philip, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a dynamite weekend, all right?
All right, buddy. You too.
Be well. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Philip Statler from the.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend. I look forward to speaking to you again on Monday. Until then, so long.